Johnny kids open to a welcome in prison. High voltage alarms and triple bolted doors to protect televisions and the video recorders. Go to sleep with a gun in your hand to prevent waking up with one funny that you had. Then the morning arrives to a perfect day of economic recession and acute depression.
It was the summer of 1989 when No Friends of Harry, fresh off the buzz of their second album Into the Valley and its monumental launch on the Johannesburg Library steps, touched down at Heathrow Airport. They'd arrived in London under no illusions. This wasn't a tour, not officially. It was meant to be a holiday, a well-earned break after the chaos of recording, local shows, and the unexpected rush of South African media attention after their triumphant record release. But they weren't the kind of band to show up anywhere without guitars. The five of them shuffled off the plane, bleary-eyed and jet-lagged, with hard cases in hand and the vague, unspoken hope that maybe, just maybe, they could squeeze a gig out of this trip. Waiting at arrivals, grinning like a cat who'd just eaten all of the cheese, was Mark. The Mark, their ever-eccentric, always scheming manager. He'd flown out a week ahead to scout the city and see if anything was possible, maybe to bag a few shows. What none of them expected was the sentence that came next. "I've gotten us a gig at the Marquee Club this coming Friday, so better get practicing." Hugh dropped jaws. The Marquee Club, the Marquee. Mark, grinning wider now, vaguely explained how it had come about. Something about offering the sound engineer copious amounts of booze. He wasn't clear on the details, but the message was they were in. 4 songs, first slot, Friday night. It was on.
Last year, the band hit London and took the stage as the main act at such prestigious venues as the Hippodrome and the Rock Garden.
First gigs, we started pulling people slowly, and finally, towards the end, people came from those very first gigs, and the Rock Garden was packed with people we'd seen before at other gigs. And there must have been about 40 or 50 South Africans there, which was wonderful, because guys who'd never seen us in this country had thought, "No Friends of Harry. We know them, they're South African. Let's go see them."
Back home in South Africa, their debut offering, One Came Running, had dropped, and critics didn't quite know what to make of it. One review in Top 40 magazine read like an insult, but became something of a badge of honour. If you can bring together 2 guitarists who haven't got the hang of their instruments yet, a drummer who seems totally confused, a bassist who just hits the same string at irregular intervals, and a vocalist of no talent at all, and still record an album worth buying, it must be art. Another review was more direct. At last, a South African album to rave about. Another piece of good news is they gave a stunning live performance. For No Friends of Harry, that's all the fuel they needed. The music press may have been unsure, but their fans weren't, and now they had the chance to prove it in the belly of the British beast. Friday night came quickly. The Marquee Club was moderately full when the lights dimmed and the band took stage, squeezed in as the first act. Most of the crowd had never heard of them. South African post-punk wasn't exactly making waves on the UK airwaves. But there they were. No big intro, no bravado, just 4 songs in a crowd ready to be convinced. The set was tight, urgent, raw. Muted applause followed each song, the kind of polite reception a crowd gives when they don't quite know what to make of what they've just seen. But that changed when the band hit the bar later that night. Pints in hand, members of the crowd began approaching them, genuine fans now, asking where they were playing next, who they were, and how they could hear more. The answer was nowhere, of course, not yet. But in the gig world, "We played the Marquee last Friday" is currency, and No Friends of Harry were suddenly flush. They found themselves slotted onto a raucous anti-poll tax benefit gig in Islington. We had no idea what the poll tax even was, bass guitarist Dave later laughed, but we were happy to be there. In a scene dominated by political urgency and uncertainty, their brooding, darkly melodic sound found an unexpected resonance. They were crashing in a commune in Wimbledon, a group of South African expatriates and friends of the band who called themselves Peace Frog 5. The Peace Frogs had managed to secure a handful of tickets to see an American band who had just recruited a new vocalist, one Mike Patton. It was none other than Faith No More. No one really knew what to expect, but what followed later was a revelation. It was raw, it was powerful, and it was absolutely electric. That gig, and indeed the entire experience in London, would go on to shape the tone and energy of their next album. The final gig of the 6-week trip overseas was at the Rock Garden in Covent Garden. This time, not just a slot on the bill, but as headliners. The deal was simple. We tried to hand out as many as we could, recalled Dave. We stood outside stations, pubs, you name it. The band was given a roll of entry vouchers. However many made it back through the door determined how much they'd get paid. But in the end, it wasn't their flyering that did the trick. A small mention in the NME Live section, barely a few lines, tipped the scales. The place was packed, a mix of curious Londoners, indie club regulars, and a good handful of expat South Africans who had heard about the hometown heroes playing just down the road. The band played like it was the last show they'd ever do. Every note landed harder, every lyric felt louder. The London Underground had welcomed them in, and now it was roaring back in appreciation. Looking back, those 6 weeks were the peak of a wave none of them saw coming. 3 years earlier, they were just a group of misfits, writing songs in a dusty basement and playing to half-filled rooms. Now they were headlining in London, drawing in crowds of strangers and dreaming bigger. When they returned home, the experience had changed them. The next album, 15 Seconds, was a different beast. Sharper, bolder, and more confident. You could hear London in it. You could hear the Brixton Academy, the Marquee, the fabulous Commune in Wimbledon. No Friends of Harry were at the top of their game. Not bad for a band that had only just begun in 1986. Sometimes, all you need is a plane ticket, a guitar, and a dream no one else quite understands, until you play that first note.